Hey everybody, I'm Robert Donovan. Welcome to this episode of Rants, Screeds, and Random Thoughts. Well, first of all, thanks to everybody who responded to the Orville Effect rant with a like, a comment, or a hashtag renewtheorville. Big thanks to Continuum Meditations. Love you, man. You have even endured the early Not Trickonomics videos, and I cringe when I watch some of them now. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Please do consider subscribing if you like this content, and be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of future uploads. I do read all comments. I found a lot of them very, very interesting and thoughtful. A number of common threads did emerge. Things like, why didn't CBS make Star Trek Discovery a standalone sci-fi series without all the Star Trek references? Why didn't CBS make Star Trek available for free in some form as Fox did with the Orville? The ongoing, apparent, complete disregard for canon, continuity, and coherent plotting, intellectual property rights and licensing issues, and of course, hashtag renewtheorville. I saw in one of the comments, I believe it was by Mike Vasquez, mentioned that it seems like CBS has abandoned all semblance of logic. I understand why it may look that way, but I think that's wrong. The problem, in my view, is not that CBS has abandoned logic. The problem is that CBS insists on proceeding from premises that are false. Understand that, and CBS's actions and all of the above make a lot more sense. It all comes down to one thing: control of Star Trek product licensing by people who care far more about licensing revenue than about the quality of Star Trek itself. Now, in the previous rant, I called Moonves and those who think like him at CBS intellectual snobs because just as Arthur Conan Doyle viewed his own Sherlock Holmes stories as good for making money, but not of any serious literary or artistic merit, I think that Moonves and his residual ilk at CBS after his departure are kind of like Arthur Conan Doyle minus the ability to create anything as unique or original as Sherlock Holmes. I think this attitude persists at CBS, and the current showrunners could apparently care less about preserving the things that made the characters and story world of Star Trek popular any more than Conan Doyle cared if Watson was shot in the leg in one story and the shoulder in the other, whether he had 2 wives or 6, or even if Watson got the titles of earlier adventures wrong when he refers to them in later stories. That's the first bad premise, that sci-fi, and by extension Star Trek, merit no respect as a show, other than for revenue. This is regardless of whether they keep to canon or do an alternate universe. Star Trek fans are quite used to alternate universes, but it's about putting the things into it that make it a Star Trek show. The second bad premise, ask yourself this: what do you think the suits at CBS would see when they binge watch any episode of Star Trek, good or bad, or if they watch fan films? Now, in fan films, it's an interesting case because certainly they'd see competition. They would see copyright infringement. John Van Citters is repeatedly described by guys like Robert Meyer Burnett and many people who deal with him as a great guy and a passionate Star Trek fan. And I have no reason to doubt that. I don't know the guy, never met him. So he probably does, when he looks at fan films, see and appreciate fan-based creativity and enthusiasm. But he also knows, let us not forget, which side his bread gets buttered on. I suspect what most of the folks at CBS see if they're watching fan films is they see millions of views and hours of watch time for everything from the highest-end productions to the kludgiest garage-made fan films, despite often subpar acting, sets, and effects, and storylines. They see all the crowdfunding money collected, therefore, as one more little confirmation of their view of Star Trek fans as a set of easily vacuumed wallets who will pay for anything with the Star Trek name on it. That's bad premise number 2. People who believe in that are not going to create a standalone sci-fi series when they have Star Trek, closest thing to a license to print money since the Catholic Church sold indulgences, sitting in the CBS basement. Neither will they be keen to offer it for free because their primary interest is to channel money into an otherwise unremarkable over-the-top streaming service. Those left behind after the ouster of Moonves and his loyalists on the CBS board care far more about hitting trendy demographics than canon violations in things like the JJ and Star Trek Discovery story worlds. To them, it's all just sci-fi. And I am not lumping JJ entirely in with Star Trek Discovery. I liked the first JJ movie, didn't care for the other 2. Once Netflix and Sony expressed interest in creating original Star Trek shows and started talking to CBS, that was when CBS just decided they'd rather put it on their own streaming service, cut out the middleman, keep all the profits, and get the ad revenue too. From CBS's perspective, the Kelvin timeline, Discovery timeline, Picard series, Section 31 series, you name it, just more Star Trek products to create licenses and collect royalties for. All costs are borne by the licensee. CBS gets a share of the take from the shows and the merch, maybe lures in some Star Wars crowd as a bonus. That rumor that Les Moonves didn't know the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars, Moonves may make zero distinction between Star Trek and Star Wars qualitatively, but I guarantee he knows which one he gets the licensing revenue from and which one Disney gets the licensing revenue from. Thing is that for all the guys who think like Moonves, it's all just silly sci-fi. It doesn't matter. As far as canon violations, CBS owns the IP, and as far as they're concerned, it's canon because they say it's canon. Viewed in this light, the fan film guidelines make perfect sense, because if you think your audience has so little discernment they'll buy anything Star Trek, you would have to consider fan films as nothing but brand dilution. The idea of a fan film license, which, by the way, would monetize fan efforts for the cost to CBS of salary and legal, allow them to keep control of their IP, and get them tons of good material that fans actually wanted that could be mined for future development, would be completely ignored and seem completely absurd to guys that don't view you as a discerning audience. That's bad premise number 3. All of these premises are simply wrong. Any form of art, literature, or entertainment, including sci-fi, survives the test of time because people like it, not because a critic or an IP holder or a licensor declares it good. Seth MacFarlane demonstrates every episode of the Orville that good Trek is not the kind of thing that any old former comedy writer can just bodge together, and Orville's growing fan base demonstrates that a lot of lifetime Trek fans are more than willing to watch a non-Star Trek show with Star Trek characteristics that treats them respectfully over a brand-name Star Trek show that ignores those characteristics or treats them badly. Fan films, handled properly, could not only be monetized, but a successfully crowd-funded fan film is the best kind of market feedback that a business like CBS could possibly hope for from its most loyal customers. When Vic Mignogna or James Cawley or Alec Peters or Tommy Kraft goes to make a fan film, they don't do a demographic survey to decide what films they'll make. They say, hey, we have a Star Trek story idea about whatever it is. Do you folks in the fandom want to see it? And if it gets funded, that's a yes, voted from the wallet. The Orville has simply responded to the market rather than trying to dictate to it, and has changed the game for CBS in so doing. CBS knows it, and Fox stands to gain a very big and lucrative audience from it. So Fox, Disney, #renew the Orville. I am truly humbled by the interest in the Orville Effect rant. If you like this content and want to see more, comment, like, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified of future uploads. I will be putting out some new Tradecraft Solutions episodes in the next few weeks. Probably of zero interest to those watching this video, but this is a variety channel and I don't just do rants and commentary. Also, I'm finishing up Season 2, Episode 2 on my series exploring what the Star Trek economy gets right and wrong, which I call Not Trekonomics. Speaking of bad first seasons, I'd start that Not Trekonomics series if you're interested or curious about it. Start at the last episode of Season 1. I plan to revisit many of the Season 1 topics in Season 2 in more detail, with better focus and less reverb. Thanks for watching. I feel much better now that I've gotten that off my chest, and may your choice of God, Gaia, or quantum duality smile upon you.